unlocking your world of creativity with best-selling author and brand innovator, Mark Stinson. This episode is brought to you by White Cloud Coffee Roasters, where every bean tells a story of adventure. Visit whitecloudcoffee.com and use the code CREATIVITY.
Welcome back, friends, to our podcast, Your World of Creativity. And today we're going to have a conversation that'll challenge and ask some questions about your leadership and your creative leadership in whatever kind of organization you're in. What kind of leader are you? Command and control, expert problem solver? How do we shift these kind of traditional ways of thinking about leadership and explore some practical alternatives? We'll do that today with my guest, Dr. Greg Giuliano. Greg, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's very good to be here, Mark.
Greg is executive coach and advisor to senior leaders all over the world and founder of a company called GR8 Ultra Leadership. He's also author of 3 #1 Amazon bestsellers, including the latest book, Coaching for a Change: How to Engage, Empower, and Activate People. Greg, I love this title, Coaching for a Change, not just coaching for change.
Yeah.
Sometimes we leaders say, I got to get in here and make some changes.
Yeah. And a lot of leaders just tell people what to do, which we can talk about that for the whole 20 minutes and the danger of that. But I want people to try coaching for a change.
So based on your experiences, the patterns of the leadership you've seen, what really prompted you to write this book? And what problems were you seeing that leaders were struggling with that you thought you could address with this kind of book?
I wrote the book because a lot of the leaders that I see and engage with are overwhelmed and running all the time. And I wanted to help them get a little bit of time and space back. And the trap that they fall into is they got the promotion because they were really you have a team that learns, you know what, don't worry about coming up with your own way because the boss is just going to tell you what to do.
Yes.
And so you design your team that it needs a manager, an old school manager watching everything and making sure that everything is as efficient as possible. But people aren't as engaged as they could be. People aren't as productive as they could be. And the leader ends up spending most of their time telling their team what to do, responding to their requests for answers. And the kind of team turns into a bunch of baby birds waiting for mom to feed them all the time.
No question.
And I wanted to help leaders break that cycle because in keeping with the spirit of your podcast, that telling people what to do all the time stifles creativity. That there's no creative thinking going on. It's just, what do you want me to do? And I'll do it. And so you're not running an assembly line unless you literally are running an assembly line. You want people to bring their whole brains to their work, their whole being to their work. And by just telling people what to do all the time, shuts that down. They realize, oh, he doesn't need my brain. He just wants my hands.
Yes. But it's really difficult sometimes. Much has been written about promoting the individual contributor to supervisor or manager.
Yeah.
But you're also describing then that next step. Okay. You've been a manager, perhaps, but now you've got to rise to leader. You got to rise to coach. And you're really describing a shift in your day-to-day approach that you can't just be, we all know what to do. Let's just get it done.
Yeah. The foundation for me and for all of us at Ultra Leadership is that your responsibility is to serve the team. The team doesn't work for you. They work with you. And your job is to serve. The team is not there to serve you as the leader. So it's about service, right? Serve to lead. And from that foundation, then my job as the leader of the team is to make this group of people as successful as possible. So how do I do that? Not by telling them what to do all the time, by drawing it out of them and showing them that they have the knowledge, the skill, the experience to succeed in their role And if they don't, if there is a gap in knowledge or skill or experience, then I can coach them and mentor them and help them to develop and close those gaps. The starting point is service. And then from there, then it's how do I help each person be as successful as possible and unlock all that creativity and great stuff inside that person.
No question. And there are certainly behaviors that we leaders can exhibit that not only don't encourage the creativity, but actually shut it down. We
Right.
don't mean to do it, but whether that's, I'm thinking, for example, you get into crisis mode. It's like, we don't have time to think. We're just gonna do. Yeah,
Right.
we gotta bail the water out. What other kind of actions or behaviors do you see leaders exhibit that kind of unintentionally then shut down that thinking?
Yeah, so that they're not so the lack of listening really shuts it down because we can tell really quickly when somebody is listening to us or not. And so if a leader is not really good at listening, they pause and they wait for someone to stop talking, but then they just pick right up on their train of thought again. So not listening feeds the I'm just going to tell you what to do mentality and keeps people locked in that uncreative cycle. But the other thing I think is just there's a pressure that we put on ourselves, right? Our self-talk that we have to go fast and I have to make sure it's right. And so when we're operating from that place of that we're telling ourselves that story, it leads us to shut down creativity. I just want to go. So how do we as quickly as possible download what we did last time on this new situation and keep going? And the problem with that is that it dulls our thinking that we're not. So that's what you're saying. The leader said, we don't have time to think. We just have to do. That happens more times than most of the time. That's what's going on in our organizations. I was talking with a leader yesterday and he's back to back to back in meetings almost every day of the week. And so he's just got this autopilot of showing up in these meetings and it's got pat responses. And he's like, how do I get off this hamster wheel? And so that behavior of our self-talk that's delusional, that if I don't move fast and I don't take control of this, something terrible will happen. We need to shut that down because that voice in our head is lying to us. And it keeps us from really engaging with the people that we're responsible for as the leader in the org chart and taking care of that group of people.
Yes. And you reminded me when you talk about listening, that people talk about this as a soft skill or emotional intelligence, as if it's not a real skill.
Yeah.
That this is just, this is the mushy stuff. We need to
Yeah.
listen and communicate.
Yeah.
Why do you think this is such a critical leadership skill? Not just a resume builder, not just a way to get promoted, but it's like, this is a critical leadership skill.
Yeah. So there's nothing soft about them, right? They're
No
human
question about
skills.
that.
And we need to be better at some of these human skills that go undeveloped. You mentioned emotional intelligence, listening, empathy, curiosity, these being able to manage my emotions when I'm confused or uncertain. These are really critical human skills. And as we move into an age we're really excited about the advent of AI and what can AI do in terms of making work easier. And AI can accelerate things and take care of some tasks, but it, that means we're going to rely on these human skills even more. That these are things that AI can't do. AI can't be empathetic, and AI can't be curious, right? And so technology can accelerate things, but the human skills are what are going to be the differentiator for leaders in our organizations who want to really engage people and empower people and unlock creativity. And so those are the skills that our AI can't take over those things. And so we need leaders to focus on developing those human skills now more than ever. That's going to be the differentiator for you to be more successful in your current role and accelerate your path to whatever the next role is that you want.
Yes. Let's get practical for our listeners for a minute. You've got some great and literally great GR8, like a vanity license plate, coaching questions.
Yeah.
Maybe give us an example of a couple of these questions that really kickstart the moving from the expert problem solver habit
Yeah.
to activating some new leadership change.
Yeah. So one of the things so the questions are designed to help move someone from idea to action and accountability. One of the things that comes up in our Be a Great Coach program, that is a learning program based on all the stuff in the book, is that I don't have time to coach, or that coaching is soft, that I need to drive results. And I designed the great coaching questions as a way to move from I've got an idea, or I've got a challenge, to identifying options, identifying the best course of action, getting to a commitment of here's what I'm going to do next. And there's accountability baked into it, that it is about driving results in as little as a 10 or 15-minute conversation. So the questions move from the opening question is just what's going on, getting it out of somebody's head, because they're just swirling. All that stuff is in their head. So there's a getting started question, and then helping a person to get focused. Of all that stuff that you just shared with me, what's the best possible outcome for you? So helping them sift through all the stuff that's floating through their head. And then I like to get real with people. Okay, what's in your way? What are the barriers that you are noticing externally and internally? Maybe it's an internal barrier that the person's thinking about it wrong. And then I want them to get serious. So all that, okay, we know what's going on. We know what's in your way. So what absolutely has to happen for you to get from where you are now to where you want to be? And then we start to look at options, right? Then let's get creative. Let's not just lock in on the first thing that comes into your head. Let's compare and contrast 2 or 3 ways to get there, so that then you can be strategic and think, okay, which is the best option? Which is going to get you closest to that best possible outcome? So that then it's about organizing your thoughts and coming up with the plan. Okay, so that's the option. What are you going to do? And what are you going to do? And when are you going to do it by? There's the promise of accountability coming out of a really powerful coaching conversation. What are you going to do? When are you going to do it? And as soon as the person says it, now we have accountability. It's baked in.
So good. So good. These are great questions. And listeners, I'm going to put the list of questions in the show notes so you can go back and refer to them. This is one of those times in a podcast when you go, where's that rewind button?
Yeah.
I need to go back and hear that again.
And they can find it all on our website too.
Well,
right?
this
It's
was
called
my next
Shareware.
question. Let's give us the connections. Where can we find you, learn more about the book and your work?
Yeah, thank you. You can find us at ultraleadership.com. Obviously, that's where we are, and all the books are there, and a lot of free resources are there. The people can around coaching, around other leadership topics. You can find me on LinkedIn, at Greg Giuliano. You can also find us on YouTube, where we about once a week or so we drop a video that gives some of the stuff that you and I have been talking about, and that's at Ultra Leadership, and that's our YouTube channel. And those are really the 3 places where I spend a lot of time.
Yes. And as leadership and generational leadership changes, have you seen a difference or just an observation in the different ways that leaders are connecting with these various channels? Some want a book, some want a YouTube channel, some might want the personal consultation and through LinkedIn. What are the differences you're seeing?
The YouTube definitely skews younger, so I have a lot of interacting with a lot of younger leaders, first-time managers, thrown into here, you're a great marketer, let's make you a team leader. You're a great engineer, let's give you a team. And they're kind of left to their own devices. So we have a lot of people coming to YouTube to find out information there that'll help them just navigate this new experience of leading a team. And same on LinkedIn too, that there's folks who are generally very interested what I am heartened by, especially with younger leaders, is they're taking ownership of their own learning and development. They're not waiting for the company to say, hey, we've got a program we want to send you to, we want to do this. That they're going out and they're doing they're just finding stuff on their own. They're not waiting for their company, because organizations can move a little more slowly, and that they're taking ownership of their career and they're taking ownership of their experience. And I love that. Because I think that's what we need more of, that we need leaders who are going to be very intentional and very deliberate about how they show up and what kind of impact they want to make. And younger people are going out and doing their own learning. They're taking matters in their own hands. And I love it. I want more of that.
Yeah, it's a great thing to see. Greg, our listeners right now, we're turning the corner into first quarter. I love the when are we going to do it? Let's say that today's the day we say, I'm going to move from traditional to ultra leadership. And I want to try on one of these questions. What's something we could do this week based on your guidance to start moving forward as a different kind of leader?
Yeah. Easy thing. Your listeners, they're sitting in a lot of meetings. Look for openings in those meetings to ask another question, right? So every time you say what you're thinking in a group, everybody's immediately voting whether they agree with you or disagree with you. And so it sets up a debate. But in your meetings, if you look for an opportunity to say, I hear what you're saying. Right? This is a simple 3-step technique that we teach all of our leaders. I hear what you're saying. Here's what it's got me thinking. And here's my question. And that will shift the room. It'll take the conversation deeper, or it'll broaden things to help see more possibilities. But if you engage with that kind of curiosity, instead of just stating what you think all the time, it will have an immediate impact for you.
And it's amazing how that kind of question opens the discussion. And I love the fact that you landed on this word curiosity. How many times have we said, yeah, I got some creative ideas, instead of saying, I'm curious. Right. Where could we go with this? Thanks for that.
I already know what I think. I want to know what you think.
That's right. And everybody is, like you say, mentally voting instead of thinking outside what the norms might be. My guest has been Dr. Greg Giuliano. Great book, Coaching for a Change. And I think we've been really emphasizing almost the subtitle here, how to engage, empower, and activate people. And really appreciate the discussion, Greg, and the prompts and the questions.
Thank you. It's been great. I love it.
Yes. And I want to thank our sponsor, White Cloud Coffee, always fueling creative conversations and prompting questions that we can ask each other over a good cup of coffee. So thanks to White Cloud Coffee for being our sponsor. And you can enjoy a 10% discount on your first order when you visit whitecloudcoffee.com and use the promo code CREATIVITY at checkout. And come back again next time. We're going to continue these round the world conversations. Of course, we go to Stockholm and London and Sydney, but we also go to Portland. We go to Austin. We go to the creative centers, wherever they may be, to talk to creative practitioners about how we can get inspired, how we can organize ideas, and most of all, how we gain the confidence and the connections and the leadership skills to launch our work out into the world. So until next time, I'm Mark Stinson, and we'll keep unlocking your world of creativity.